All right. Hey, Vikings fans, welcome into another episode of the Skol Hop. I'm Evan.
I'm Austin.
We're just a couple of dudes from Iowa. We like drinking beer, talking about the Vikings.
Yeah, we do. And heck yes, the Vikings beat the Lions this week. It was a wonderful game to watch.
Heck yeah. And we didn't have to spin the wheel of purple punishments. And we had a really, really good beer from Big Grove.
Yeah, thanks, Big Grove. Of course, we spent some time talking about the Lions game, and
we looked ahead to the next several games, most specifically the next game against the Ravens.
Yep, I might have to watch that one back. I think I'm going to be on a plane during that game. But if you're interested in listening to us for this longer episode, go ahead and grab a cold one and join us for episode 112 of the Skol Hop.
Skol.
Skol. We want to say thank you to show sponsor That's Badass Wood Art for sponsoring today's episode. Evan is showcasing our own piece of art here. If you are interested in any kind of specific Vikings wood art, or really any IP, team, sport, movie, whatever, any kind of art that's made out of wood that you can hang up really anywhere. I always say the man cave, but it could be living room, bedroom, anywhere you want to hang it up. Go ahead and reach out to That's Badass Wood Art. Actually, go to their website, that'sbadasswoodart.com, and peruse some of the things that they already have up on their site. Or if you're interested, they do have an option where you can request a custom piece to be made. And for our listeners, they have set up a really cool promo code. If you use the code SKOLHOP, SKOLHOP, all one word, that will give you 10% off any and all orders on their site, whether it's pre-made stuff or custom orders, anything like that. We really like our piece here. We've been saying it for weeks now. We will have our own custom piece showcased for you to watch on YouTube or Spotify on our set here. We just need to actually get that done. But yeah, everybody over there at that'sbadasswoodart.com is super easy to work with, and their stuff is high quality. So thanks, guys.
Yeah, definitely high quality for sure. And I'm looking forward to getting our custom piece.
Absolutely.
Hopefully soon.
Yeah.
Good news tonight.
Great news on all fronts.
We don't have to spin the wheel of purple punishments.
Because we were delirious enough in the preseason to think, hey, this Vikings team is they're gonna pull it out against the Lions, and what do you know?
And they sure did.
They sure did.
And not only that, but we also get to show off the fruits of our labor from last week's purple punishment. These are the eBay orders that we made that we were forced to make because we spun the wheel and we had to win an eBay auction by the margin of victory. So we added that twist this year. Last year we did it. I won a cool $1 Jordan Addison rookie card. But these chains are what we decided on. They were both $27+ Mm-hmm. Yours was a little more than mine.
Yeah.
But tell us about yours, and then I want to talk about mine really quick.
Yeah, so we got them both on eBay. The reason being is we lost the purple punishments from the Vikings-Chargers game, and then lo and behold, the Chargers beat the Vikings by 26, 27 points. So we had to go on eBay, and I think the name of it was Win an eBay Auction, but I think we both did buy it now. The nature of the punishment is being upheld here. So we bought it now. I am wearing, basically, it's like the NFL licensed, rally chain that they sell. It's this big, gaudy chain. If you're only listening, you can probably hear the plastic chain links. And then mine, the feature emblem on this chain is the helmet horn, the Vikings horn. It's foam. It's awesome. My 5-year-old son saw it today, and he was amazed. Immediately, he grabbed it and was like, "Can this be mine?" And I was like, "Well, not today, buddy, but maybe after this episode, I'll let him have it." He's already got a Vikings foam finger from when we went to the Lions' loss last year. But yeah, that's mine. Yours is a little bit cooler.
Yeah. So yours, I think, came out. They started making those when like the Kirko chains thing happened a couple years ago.
I think every team though has these like big foam chain things.
I kind of think the Vikings started it, or at least that era of Vikings started it with the Kirko chains, because he was like viral, going on every airplane ride after a game, putting on all these chains, which was comical in the moment. Mine's pretty cool though. So mine's a custom 3D printed chain, and I got it from this store, JACBA-3614. And I know it's
eBay, right?
Yeah, it's on eBay. So again, JACBA-3614, and he doesn't just make Viking stuff. There's a Bears chain, a Broncos chain, a Cowboys chain. Don't know why you'd want a Packers chain, but there's one on there. And he's got some other custom stuff too. He has quite a few NFL chains, and then a couple other things that aren't NFL related at all. But this is super cool. It's high quality. I've 3D printed stuff in my life before. The coasters that we set our beers on in every episode are 3D printed by one that I had at a school that I worked at. So I kind of know what good quality is, and immediately when I pulled this out of the bag that it was shipped in, I'm like, wow, that's impressive.
Yeah.
So would highly recommend, go to that store, JACBA-3614. Not a sponsor yet.
I wonder if he'd make like a custom Skol hop chain. I'd wear a Skol hop chain. That'd be pretty cool.
I'm going to message him on eBay. Though. I'm going to send him this episode and let him know that we wore his chain and talked about him in our episode. So
yeah, it's pretty cool.
Thanks.
I think we both did pretty well. I'm probably not going to wear this chain.
My neck is kind of itchy right now already, but I'll wear it for this episode.
Yeah, I'm wearing mine the whole episode, and then maybe my son will reap the benefits of this thing.
If I get back to another game anytime soon, I'm going to bring this.
Yeah.
I'm going to wear it. This
definitely seems like the certain kind of vibe. Like you need some kind of fun sunglasses and then a big old hat or something like that on top of your jersey. Or I picture those guys in the purple suits with the fedoras. Is that what they wear?
Yep.
Maybe wearing one of these too. So yeah, it's a punishment, but you know what? We can live it up.
The punishment was paying $30, but in return we got some pretty awesome Viking stuff. So.
Yeah. And I'm really glad that we don't have to be punished this week because we chose to believe in our team.
Let's drink some beer to celebrate that.
This might be one of the longest we've gone in an episode before opening up a beer.
Thank goodness, because I've had a long day and I'm ready for a couple of beers.
Yeah. Well, this one is one that I have never seen before. I think you said you hadn't seen it before either.
No, brand new to me.
This is from one of our favorite breweries of the Skol Hop, Big Grove Brewery, out of
Iowa City.
Iowa City, but I think aren't they originally out of like Solon?
Maybe. I know they have a tap room in Solon.
Yeah, I think the Solon one was their original spot, but Iowa City is where they do most, if not all, of their brewing.
It says Iowa City on the can. So.
But either way, this is one I haven't seen before. It must be relatively new. I'm going to say Sova?
Sova, I think, is how you pronounce that.
Sova. It says it's a Czech-style amber lager. And then on the can, they've written a classic Czech amber lager brewed with time-honored techniques that make it crisp, balanced, and quietly bold. Like its namesake, which means owl, Sova is watchful, wise, and made to be savored under starry skies. So little artsy-fartsy there, but hey, I have yet to be disappointed by a Big Grove beer. I think every one I've tried has at least been good, if not fantastic. So I'm really excited for this one.
And if you're watching, look at that pour.
Yeah, I'm proud of you, man.
That's a heck of a pour.
That was a hard pour.
I watched it, I don't know, a reel of some sort on some platform. I don't remember which one it was, about pouring beer.
Yeah.
And they said that this is actually the preferred way to pour a beer. It gets a lot of the carbonation out so it doesn't sit in your gut.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay.
There's a 95% chance I sent you whatever video you're referencing.
You might be right.
Because it is good. You don't want no carbonation, but you also you need a nice good heavy pour for most beers. And yeah, we both had a pretty good pour.
Also, not to delay the drinking of this beer anymore, but two things that I was thinking of. Number one, you just keep getting beer that I like, because you got this beer again tonight, and I'm like this is squarely in my wheelhouse of beer that I like, and what an appropriate time of year to drink it in the early kind of or late fall, early winter. It's not winter yet, but
no, you don't say that.
Early November.
It's way too early.
And then the other thing I was thinking of, we haven't said this in a very long time on the show, but I feel like it's worth mentioning again. We only drink Iowa beer on the show. Of course, we have other beers when we're not sitting at this table. But Big Grove is an Iowa brewery. It's one of the bigger ones in Iowa. But we try beers from all over the state of Iowa. So if you're into Iowa beer, that's part of what we do around here. That's just our thing.
And if you are an Iowa brewery, we like beer and we like to talk good things about beer. Big Grove in the past, this one we purchased ourselves, but in the past they've given us some beer on a couple separate occasions, I think. And most Iowa breweries are fantastic. This state we're really lucky to have not just one or two, but a plethora, a menagerie or whatever we said that one time on an episode of a ton of great breweries. So with all of that, I'm ready to dive into this.
Skol to Iowa beer and Skol to a Vikings win.
Skol.
I almost messed that up. I like that a lot.
Yeah, I mean, if I was to explain this to somebody who's never heard of it, I'd just say it's a solid amber lager. Like there's no frills about it. It's not trying to do something unique or interesting or go over the top with anything else. It's just a really good amber lager. Perfect amber color, solid head retention. Even with the hard pour, it's still keeping its nice big foamy up top there, and the flavor is just
it's great. It's balanced, like it says, malty, but not overpowering, and just really smooth, really easy to drink.
Yeah,
I imagine this is kind of like an Oktoberfest inspired type of beer.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean 5.3% alcohol, solid flavor. It's just, I mean, if you like amber lagers, you're going to love the crap out of this one. I wonder if it's new. It's got to be new.
It's got to be new because I haven't seen this on the shelves before.
But yeah, good job, Big Grove. If you want to send a few more our way, I don't think we'd turn that down at all. So I really like this, and I'm excited for the next couple that we've got here.
And it was exciting to see our favorite team beat a divisional rival, one that the Vikings haven't beaten in the last 5 games they've played.
2022, I think, was the last time the Vikings beat them. It was the first game of that season, or the first of the Lions games that season, and then they lost in the second one. But yeah, it's been a minute. J.J. McCarthy's the first Vikings quarterback in a while to beat the Lions.
Since Kirk Cousins.
Which is crazy to say, because for our entire lives, I think the Lions may have had like one good year prior to 2022. They were
the later Barry Sanders years when we were really young.
Oh yeah, before we really woke up as football fans.
The Megatron years were pretty decent.
But even then, they may have made the playoffs like once in the Megatron years, you know? Like it was crazy when they finally snuck in with a wild card, you know, like they've always been just the bottom of the barrel, drafting in the top 10, if not the top 5, if not first overall. They've always just been awful. And it's crazy to think that the Vikings have had no success in the last few years against that team.
Yeah, and they're a really good team. And I still think the Lions are a playoff caliber team, even with a loss to the Vikings. Like losing one game in the NFL is not the end of the world.
Feels like it in the moment. But.
No, and correct me if I'm wrong. Every team now has 2 losses.
Oh,
I don't think there's any team with, obviously no undefeated teams, but I don't think there are any 1-loss teams anymore either. So, and that makes things really interesting in the NFL because the parity of this league is what keeps people coming back.
Yeah.
I think it's never this like, oh, well, they're going to win it again. It's not like the Yankees of our childhood where it was just like,
or what will be the Dodgers here coming up.
Right. Like, I just keep thinking of the Yankees. Like, I still am a somewhat Twins fan.
Yeah.
And, like, you just had no hope as a Twins fan because the Twins could make the playoffs, and they did all the time. only to get beat by the Yankees or to take another Minnesota sports team. The Timberwolves were pretty decent when we were younger, and
recently too.
It was fun. But then guess what? They were going to lose to the Lakers in the playoffs. You just knew it.
And the Wild, they're notorious for not getting out of the first round.
Yep. So all that to say, this league keeps things interesting, and it's never the same old. Well, I mean, yes, you could say the Patriots. Yes, you could say the Chiefs lately. But
it always feels like other teams have a chance.
Yes.
Which I agree with you in saying that. And, yeah, I did double-check. Every team has at least 2 losses in the NFL. So the Vikings, at a 4-loss team, are definitely not out of it.
Correct.
9 games into a 17-game season, the Vikings they still control their own destiny, which most teams at this point still do.
Probably unless you're the Jets or the Titans with 1 win each.
But, I mean, it's still not, even for those teams, mathematically right now, like, everybody's technically in the hunt right now. So, and the Vikings are square in there, and it helps that they're not still in it after, a handful of strung together terrible performances. It hasn't been great recently, but their most recent performance, they went to one of the toughest teams to play against in their house and just straight up beat them. It wasn't a beat down.
Nope. It was a close game.
Pummel the Lions. But they definitely pinpointed a few things to take advantage of. Jahmyr Gibbs' pass blocking ability specifically being one of them, and they performed well. And J.J. McCarthy, in his 3rd ever start, did enough to get the job done, which I'm excited about.
Me too. Let's talk roses and thorns and give out a game ball or two here. And then we can get into some more of the specifics. I'll start with roses because I'm cheating and I'm going to have like 3 roses here. But all of them I think are worth highlighting, and all of them are good things. Number 1, you beat a divisional opponent on the road, and you're now 2-0 in the division. That's awesome. You actually ran the ball effectively as a team. I know it came at the expense of a possible Aaron Jones injury that might keep him out for a little bit, but they actually ran the ball worth a darn, which is something that they haven't really done. And I still feel like I didn't watch all of the game, but the parts of the game that I watched, it seemed like they abandoned the run at times and just relied on the passing game to keep things going. And that's definitely a flaw of KOC's.
Yeah, you're going to get that with KOC every once in a while.
And I think that's just the quarterback in him. He has a lot of faith in his quarterback, and he knows that if he continues calling plays, eventually it's going to work out. And
quick little coda in your roses here. Aaron Jones, KOC talked to the media today.
I didn't hear this. So
he said that they got favorable news about Aaron Jones's injury. KOC said typical, he's going to get a lot of work in this week, and we'll see where he is. But what he didn't say is, Aaron Jones, he's going to be out for a couple of weeks. So I wouldn't be shocked to see Aaron Jones play against the Ravens at this point. Based off of what KOC said today, I'd say it's probably at least like a 60% chance that as of Monday night that he's playing on Sunday. Anyways, keep going.
Well, that's good news. And I don't know. I mean, we never know with these guys. Like, sometimes they pop up on the injury report on Friday, and you're like, oh, wow. Okay, well, practice must have been rough. And so, we know this about him, right? We knew this about him when the Vikings signed him last year. He's getting older, and when you get to be that age of running back, you start to experience some of those things because you are literally like getting in a car accident 20 times per game with the amount of hits they take. So beating a divisional opponent on the road and being 2-0 in the division so far is awesome. Actually having somewhat of a run game to speak of, I also think is a really good thing and helped balance out the offense for JJ, who's my 3rd rose. JJ's back, right?
Yeah.
And I think the momentum of this team behind him as their leader is so much different. Like, you watch the post-game locker room and you see that. I'm sure you've seen that. Like, like he's just got this fire in his eyes. He looks kind of crazy at some point.
I saw a tweet that said, man, he's really performative. He's just basically saying he's doing that weird look and on the sideline and staring people down just because he knows how it looks, but somebody commented or even reposted it and said he's not performative, he's just a weird dude. So like, I mean, hey, if JJ McCarthy, I've only ever seen and heard great things about him on and off the field, but I mean, I know sometimes these players in any sport, they put that uniform on and it's like some kind of switch happens and they're a little crazy. I think John Randall, he put that eye black on and it's like, oh my God, who is this dude?
Like we could go down the list. Like Justin Jefferson, he puts those sunglasses on.
He's said that before.
He's a different.
Yeah, he's like it's alter ego or something like that. Yeah.
With JJ McCarthy specifically, though, there's a good camera shot of him pregame 2 hours before the game meditating on the bench at Ford Field in Detroit. Like,
I think the Vikings even like retweeted that or posted that wherever they posted it.
And it was live because they like zoomed slowly in on him from like the opposite side of the field, and it just got closer and closer. And meanwhile, all these people are just like walking behind the bench like to and fro, and it's just like, man, all right. The dude was locked in. I even saw something, whether it's true or not, his infant son was sick, and JJ McCarthy slept somewhere else this week to avoid getting sick because his baby boy was sick. So, like, I don't know. All that to say, dude's willing to do whatever it takes, and now that he's healthy again, we saw that, and we saw the effects on the field of all of that, and I'm glad to have him back.
I will say, as long as the winds keep rolling and he's not like dangerously weird, like doing weird stuff and like
Everson Griffin,
like I wouldn't let my kids around him, which I've never heard anything about that, but as long as he's not like doing bad things and the winds keep coming, he can be as weird as he wants to be and I'll be okay with
or
it.
Or like a Stefan Diggs. Do you remember that 99 Questions with Brian Robinson?
Oh yeah, who would you let your sister date?
Or who would you not let your sister date? And everybody was like, well, Diggs, of course. Even Adam Thielen was like, Diggs, 100%. And they were like best friends when he was in Minnesota.
Well, I do want to spend some time on JJ, but we can keep the ball rolling with our roses and thorns here.
We'll come back to JJ.
Was that it for your roses?
Yeah, I could probably go down the line on some more, but
yeah,
we'll call it there for now.
My rose is that at times, for most of the game, the defense for the Vikings looked unstoppable. And I think there's a few reasons for that. You got Andrew Van Ginkel back.
Yes.
Yeah, he didn't get 2 sacks like he did in that one game. Was it against the Bengals or I don't remember who it was against. Maybe the Eagles. He got 2 sacks in one game. He didn't get that, but he was out there and running around like crazy. He got at least 1 tackle for loss, and it was awesome. You got Blake Cashman back, and he's been back for a game or 2 now, but he really felt back this week.
Yes.
And it felt like, he's good to go, and he was actually making splashes on the field.
He had 14 tackles.
Yeah, I think Cashman he led the team in tackles.
He led all players in tackles.
He had Eric Wilson, former Viking, then former Packer, now Viking again. He had 2 sacks in this game. I think he had 6 tackles, 4 of them solo tackles, and then 2 sacks. Like, Eric Wilson was all over the field. Also, Blake Cashman, I didn't even mention, he punched the ball out of Montgomery's hand in that huge turnover there.
Yep.
And then Harrison Smith, he had that awesome, it looked like he was going to destroy Jared Goff, but then all he did was, he batted the ball down and just blew up a play.
That was like a Van Ginkel of last year type of play, and I think I saw some comment somewhere, probably on Twitter, that was like, Van Ginkel probably went over to him and like, dude, you could have had a pick 6 there. I had 2 of them last year.
Javon Hargrave and Jonathan Allen, both of them splashed and looked like the players that the Vikings paid a lot of money for in the offseason.
And got game balls from KFC in the locker room afterwards.
Jalen Redmond, I think he got a sack or at least a couple of tackles for loss. That guy just keeps messing up offenses on the other side and becoming this awesome undrafted free agent UFL pickup that nobody seems to give Kwesi credit for. And then Levi Drake Rodriguez, all he did was block the field goal that let Isaiah Rodgers pick it up, and I don't know how Isaiah Rodgers didn't score a touchdown on that one, but it was still a big play.
Well, credit to who's their kicker, Jake Bates.
Yeah, he did run him down.
Jake Bates ran him down.
Must have had a really good angle.
Or was it Jack Fox, the punter who was holding it?
I think it was the kicker. I might be wrong.
I don't remember who, but one of those 2 guys chased Isaiah Rodgers down and tackled him, and that was impressive. But yeah, he probably should have run that back himself.
Yeah. So all of that to say, that's not even all of the best examples that the Vikings defense, while not perfect all day, looked really good and most of the day.
I would add to it, and I would agree with you. That's a great rose. Miles Price had a heck of a day returning kicks. He had 164 kicking yards, a long of 61 kick return yards. A long of 61, and he almost busted one for the house, but that one got called back for holding.
He did bust it, and that was one where the hold actually did benefit him. Like, if not for that hold, he probably would have gotten chased down and tackled. Because usually when there's like a holding on a return, we're always saying like, they didn't even. He was already past it,
away from the ball, whatever. Yeah,
Javier Thomas, that was a rough day for him. I'm almost surprised we didn't hear about him being cut today. But yeah, because he had a hold. Or two holds, two penalties, one on a punt return, one on that kickoff that pulled back the touchdown, and then another one on a punt where he got pushed out of bounds and then never made an effort to get back on the field.
Yeah.
And that put the Lions darn near at midfield after one punt. So that was rough. But overall, defense looked great. Miles Price also looked great in special teams. I think the Vikings have a kick returner, and one that, we've said it on this show, we've said it to each other the last few years. Brandon Powell, whoever it's been back there, it's kind of felt like, ooh, is he going to actually catch this?
It's nerve-wracking.
Oh, and then every time he doesn't make a fair catch, it's like, oh, come on, I know, don't fumble it when you're getting tackled. Like, I'm not getting a lot of that from Miles Price. I'm feeling pretty confident every time he gets the ball. Although there was one in the Lions game where he fielded it at like the 4 or 5 and then only got to like the 10 when it was pretty clear that the punt was probably going to bounce in the end zone. I think I even tweeted like he absolutely should have let that one go through the end zone.
And the judgment that those guys have to have, the ability to go, I'm going to catch this ball and I'm going to fair catch this ball or I'm going to let it like. There have to be a million things racing through their minds all at once, and then they have to just make that decision because it's going to be there. And I think it's that like paralyzing moment that causes a lot of the muffs that we see of like, oh crap, and then there it goes.
Well, and think about it too. Like, it's not just about catching it. It's, if I catch this, I'm gonna get blown up.
I'm gonna get destroyed. Talk about car crashes. Like it's gonna be like I'm going through the windshield of a car type of impact.
So luckily that didn't happen really against anybody in this game. But yeah, I think all of that wraps up into my rose. That it was just a good defensive game, and then add in the special teams a little bit for specifically Miles Price. Outside of that, special teams was pretty rough. Price and Reichard were high points for the special teams.
And I think you got to give special teams credit for that, at least for those skill guys that are doing it. And the other things didn't really seem to affect the outcome of the game too much, which is good.
Yeah, I do think Javier Thomas.
Yeah.
He was trying to do everything he could to mess that game up for the
At
Vikings.
least get booted down to the practice squad or something.
Yeah.
Thorns. I'm going to go first, mostly because mine's not as good, and we can spend more time talking about yours. But we're still in last place in the division, despite losses by the Lions and the Packers. And it kind of dawned on me like a day or two ago that like winning the division doesn't just mean going 6-0 in the division.
Like you could go 6-0 in the division and still be last place in the division.
And so, you can sweep the division and still finish in last place in the division. And the Vikings are still in last place despite being 2-0 in the division, which isn't the worst thing in the world right now. Going into week 10 next week?
Next week, yeah,
week 10. So not room to panic yet, but. Even with losses by the Lions and the Packers, the Vikings are still a little bit behind and have work to do.
Yeah.
And that's why these upcoming divisional games are going to be super important. You want to win those for sure. But we've got to stack up some wins if this Vikings team is going to make the playoffs.
Absolutely. And we can hit on this a little bit later too, but the Vikings 2-0 in the division. Green Bay 1-0 in the division. currently. This will all change. Each team gets 6 division games. So Detroit 1-2 in the division. Half of their division games are played, and they've only won one of them. And Chicago 0-2 in the division. So again, super early, but I mean, at least the Vikings are starting off on a good foot in that aspect. I do think that tie that the Packers got is really going to annoy the rest of the division and maybe the rest of the NFC, because that's almost going to give them a one-up. If, like you said, every team has at least 2 losses this year, it's going to be more of a balanced league, and that tie is going to end up giving them an edge over somebody.
It's going to give them the edge in the division because it wasn't against a divisional team. It was against the Cowboys. Mm-hmm. So because it wasn't the Bears, the Vikings, or the Lions, they have that one up. That's why they were 5-1-1 and were in first place over the Lions, who had more wins.
Yeah. Well, think about this. Green Bay, 5 wins right now and 2 losses. Detroit, 5 wins and 3 losses with the same amount of games played.
Yep.
Chicago, 5 wins and 3 losses, same amount of games played. The Vikings, 4 wins, 4 losses, same amount of games played. So that right now, Green Bay having that one tie is helping them out specifically in the division and could play out for the rest of the year. So,
and that's my point, really, is that, and I guess going back to your point that you originally made, right? It's going to frustrate. It's going to frustrate us in the division if the Packers don't lose many more games and end up staying kind of where they are near the top of the division. It's gonna suck. And this, I think that's part of my rose too, or not my rose.
Thorn?
It was my rose that they beat a divisional opponent.
Oh, yeah,
it's a big thing. But the thorn of being in last place in the division, it just means that there's a lot of catching up to do. And we'll talk here in a little bit about the upcoming schedule for the Vikings, but I've got some thoughts, and I'm excited, but I also think the time is now to start winning and stacking up these wins.
Yeah. All right, my thorn, just some of the clock management, some of the play calling, some of the game theory by KOC. And there were a handful of examples throughout the game, but the one that I'm specifically thinking about, I think the highlight of this thorn for me, was towards the end of the game when the Vikings had the ball in the red zone inside the 10 with less than 4 minutes left, and they kept trying to punch it in. It's like they cared more about scoring a touchdown than they did about bleeding the clock, because at the time I think they were up 24
17, right?
Yeah, 24-17, I think, at the time. And they ultimately ended up kicking a field goal to go up 27-17. I think that I might be wrong on the numbers of that, but I think that's right. But what they really should have done, because they threw a couple of times, or they ran it once on first down, didn't get it. Then they threw it. It was a kind of behind Justin Jefferson pass that was knocked down by, I think it was Terry and Arnold. JJ didn't throw his best ball there, which stopped the clock. And then on the next play, they did some weird fake handoff play action, and then the only other option was for JJ to run around, and I think they thought that everybody else would go for the handoff and JJ would run free into the end zone, but he didn't. He ended up getting run out of bounds at like the 2-yard line, and then the Vikings had to settle for a field goal. Whereas what they could have done is just run it 3 times, stayed in bounds, and if the Lions were so apt to do, they could have started calling timeouts, and then the Vikings ultimately could have still planned on kicking a field goal, being up by a good amount of points. I think it would have put them up by 10 points at the time, which it did, but they didn't bleed as much clock as they could have. And I think we've seen just some annoying examples all season, and really all of KOC's career. He's gotten a lot better. 2022, that's why all these games were heart attack games, is because he was more focused on the points and less focused on the clock and how he could manipulate play calling to bleed clock or use the clock to his advantage for whatever reason. I just think in that scenario, much like the one where against was it the Eagles where TJ Hawkinson got robbed on that touchdown catch?
Yeah, yep.
And I think
they should have gone for a field goal there instead of throwing it to TJ for a non-touchdown.
Yeah. So I think KOC could definitely get better at managing the clock and letting clock bleed where it should and stop where it shouldn't. And there's just a lot about game theory and clock management that KOC could do better. I say that while also saying I don't prefer any other coach than KOC right now. I'm not saying, fire him because he doesn't know. He's still an elite offensive mind. He's a really good coach. There's a reason you don't just accidentally win all these games in the NFL like he has. He was voted Coach of the Year, which, say what you will about that award, it could be awesome, could be not. But I think if he's got any flaws, it's game theory, clock management.
And I don't disagree with you really on any of that. I would just add that how fortunate are we as Vikings fans to not only have a great offensive head coach and a head coach who does a great job, I think, of building culture, which we saw in the locker room. We finally got a victory locker room video.
Yeah. Which I was saying last week, like, can you imagine how hyped we're going to be after that victory video?
It lived up to the hype for sure. But how fortunate are we to have a head coach mind on the defensive side of the ball as well? Like, and I feel like KOC has to have some sort of relief. Like, well, thank goodness I don't have to manage that aspect of the game as well. Like, I can step in and take a timeout if I feel like we need it. I can step in and do what I feel is needed if needed. But for the most part, he's got it. And I can go over to the offensive bench and start, all right, we got to get ready for the next thing, And of course, as the head coach, you can't just completely abandon the game because you have to be paying attention to the game clock. You have to be paying attention to, timeouts and what's coming up. And you got to be thinking about analytics. Do we go for it? Do we not? Are they going to go for it? Are they not?
Yeah.
Are we going to, put in our, there's the blocked field goal. Like, are we going to try to block it or not? Are we going to, on a punt, are we going to try to go for it or not? Like, you got to be ready to make decisions in those moments and equip your other position coaches and unit coaches that way. But, man, it's awesome to have Brian Flores on the defensive side of the ball.
Absolutely. And we've been saying since episode 1 of the Skol Hop, man, I hope we get to keep Brian Flores for a while. That kind of reminds me too, a little bit of a tangent here, but Brian Flores, I've been saying all season, it feels like they're just blitzing too much and not getting home, and then somebody's wide open downfield, and the quarterback has plenty of time because the blitzes aren't working. I think they said on the broadcast many times, the Vikings, they're suffocating Jared Goff. They're blitzing like crazy, but they're actually blitzing at a lesser rate during the Lions game than they had in any other game. I haven't looked at stats. I don't know if that ended up being true, through the end of the game. But they were saying on the broadcast, they're not blitzing as much as they have been. It's just that it's working more. And I think when you get guys like Blake Cashman and Andrew Van Ginkel back on the field, and then you have higher than expectation performance from Eric Wilson, that all makes things work better. And Ivan Pace Jr. is good, but he's definitely been exposed. I think he's really good when all he has to think about is, where am I going to blitz? Not, I'm the green dot guy and I got to get people in the right situation. Ivan Pace is at his best when he knows not just who he's covering, but where he's blitzing. So it's all working out so far.
Well, to that point, if we want to keep going down that tangent for a minute, I sent you a video this afternoon, a tweet that came out from Ben Lieber, former Viking player and now kind of Vikings radio network.
We need to try to get Ben on the show.
I
don't think that's impossible. I think the people we've gotten on, we could get him on the show.
I'm not going to do this video justice, but maybe we can...
we'll retweet it.
We can retweet it and post a link in the description, perhaps. But I watched this video. I had 5 minutes at work. I had a really busy day at work, but I saw this tweet, and I'm like... Afterwards, I was like, I feel like 10% smarter about the game of football after I read what his description was, and then I watched the video, and I'm like, I can see that, and I won't do it justice right now. But basically, like, he takes one of the plays, one of the Vikings defensive plays. They get home for a sack on Jared Goff, and he just talks about like the pre-snap movements that all these guys make, and Ivan Pace is one of them. And like, I think to your point that you just made, that Ivan Pace exceeds expectations, maybe is what I was trying to say. He excels when he just knows, like, this is my spot. I'm going to go through this gap, and I'm going to, try to put pressure on the quarterback. And he didn't make the sack, I don't think, on that particular play. I forget who did, but it was just crazy, like, watching all this movement. And if I'm Jared Goff and I'm watching, like, 6 Vikings players move into, like, 8 different positions before I snap the ball, I have no idea what's coming. And then all of a sudden, boom, I'm on the ground.
Yeah.
So, awesome. You just retweeted it?
I quoted it and said, Sweet. This is the Ben Lee retweet we talked about today. So, great example. And
Ben, if you're listening,
come on.
Give us a call.
But yeah, all that to say, coming back, we're actually still on our thorns. I do think even with the goods, even when the games are won, there are still examples of where KOC can do better, which nobody's ever perfect. There's always going to be ups and downs of every coach, every player, everything. And to be truthful, we're not in the headset. We don't know the game plan. We don't know exactly what they're trying to do. So just on the field or from TV, it does seem like KOC could be doing a better job of game management.
Agreed. Game balls. I'll start, and I think mine's maybe the easy one, but also maybe kind of slightly controversial. I'm gonna go with JJ McCarthy.
Oh no way.
I know, right? And I know his stat sheet wasn't great. Like, it's not like he played lights out. He did throw an interception, but he threw for 2 touchdowns, rushed for another. And I think if you're that kid right now, and he's a kid, let's be clear,
he's 22 years old. Yeah.
He is a young gun. You could have easily allowed all of these narratives negatively affect you over not just the last week, but the last several weeks, 6, 7, 8 weeks,
the last year and a half.
Yeah.
I mean, really, if you want to get truthful about it. So
I'm going to give him the game ball for me just because he overcame all of that, was able to tune all of that out, and got the win. It wasn't the prettiest win. It wasn't this blowout win like the Vikings had against the Bengals or anything like that. But it was a win, and it was a win against a divisional opponent on the road against a playoff team. I've said it a few times already, and I'll keep reiterating it because I think it's important. And that's why he gets the game ball. Now, he's got to keep it going.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and I still think we will see some of his flaws come out. Like, we saw it in week 1 against the Bears in the first 3 quarters, and we saw it in his second game against the Falcons, right? Like, it hasn't always been pretty, and I think we will continue to have those frustrating moments, those growing pains, those like, he lacks experience.
Yeah, we're gonna get that, but that was, I mean, most every expert, Dustin Baker, everybody was saying he doesn't have to be Tom Brady this year. He doesn't have to be, perfect. He just has to be okay. And we just need to see growth. We just need to see that he's not a moron out there. And I think this Lions game proved we're seeing growth. We're seeing the goods where we should be seeing goods. Yeah, he didn't throw for 500 yards and 10 touchdowns, but he also didn't look completely lost. Like Anthony Richardson for the Colts, still in the preseason last year, like this preseason and even last year, like he was still a few years in the NFL looking lost.
Yep.
We're not seeing complete lostness from JJ McCarthy yet.
And I think this team rallies behind him. Not that they weren't rallying behind Carson Wentz, but I think everybody knew that there was this like rent a quarterback arrangement with Carson Wentz, and it wasn't the Sam Darnold treatment, and it wasn't even the like Case Keenum like situation, right? Like where there wasn't any hope of the starter coming back. So, well, the keys are yours because we have no other choice. Like the Carson Wentz thing was this, like, it's temporary. And when the guy comes back, he's back and he gets the job. And I think fortunately for Carson Wentz and for KOC, Carson Wentz played himself to a season-ending injury.
Yeah.
Like, I think, had that not been the case, I think there would be some people out there pounding the table for Carson Wentz to come back.
Yeah.
Even if the Vikings win this game with J.J. McCarthy under center. Like, they look at the stat line and go, 143 yards, an interception. Like, yeah, he's not it. Like, Carson Wentz had way better stat lines. We need to put him in. We have a better chance of winning with him. Well, no.
Yeah.
No. And I think really all you need to look at, and then we're going to get to your game ball. I'm long-winded tonight. I apologize. But all you need to look at is the fire in KOC's eyes that hasn't been there all season, really until the locker room after this game. And that told me all that I needed to know about how KOC is feeling right now.
Absolutely.
Right? Like, we've been saying it for probably the last month. Like, man, KOC looks pissed. He looks mad. He doesn't look like he's having fun anymore. And he's lost this fire. He's lost that, like, rah, let's go get him, type of mentality in the locker room. At least the stuff that we can see.
Yeah,
we don't know what happens, day to day, week to week in the facility. But I think that locker room video that I watched was enough for me to say KOC has an enormous amount of faith in JJ McCarthy, and even with some ups and downs, he's gonna ride or die with JJ.
Yeah.
And as long as he's healthy, that's who we're gonna get for the rest of the season.
Absolutely. So real quick, I just did some quick math numbers. JJ McCarthy currently has 444 passing yards, 4 touchdowns passing, 4 interceptions.
Wow, that's a lot of fours.
Yeah, that's all fours. And then what's his rushing numbers? Because it has become a little bit of his game here. Of course, it's going to take me a second to find it here. My goodness. Okay. He's got 16 rushing attempts and 62 yards, 2 touchdowns. So the rushing touchdown has been a part of his victory so far. He's on pace currently. This isn't going to sound great. This season, if he keeps up with what he's been performing at when he's been playing, he's on pace for 1,776 passing yards, 16 touchdowns, and 16 interceptions. And then I didn't do the math on his rushing yards, but it's something like 250 rushing yards and about 5 rushing touchdowns. So if every game is, this is including the Bears game, the Falcons game, and then now the Lions game. If he has shown us who he is without any upwards development or luck or, anything else, then that's kind of what we're aiming for. Which, if you're looking at a rookie quarterback season, that's about what you'd expect. That's a decent little foundation for a guy that might have something. So he has yet, all that to say, he has yet to light up the stat sheet. But at this point, we're to the point where it's like, well, we just need him to consistently be healthy and available to play, which they didn't come out in press conferences today and say, oh, yep, JJ, his ankle's a little swollen today, so we'll see. I mean, they didn't say anything. I think in his press conference, KOC said specifically, he talked about all the guys that were on the injury report last week and gave a quick update on everybody. But when he said JJ, he's like, yeah, everybody's looking, or JJ specifically, looking good. So I expect him to exceed those passing yards, the 1776, probably exceed the passing touchdowns. I expect him to start going up. The more experience he has, which experience can be daily experience, weekly experience. It doesn't have to be stacking years on years. The more you get to know what it's like to have KOC in your headset every game, because realistically, if we count preseason, JJ McCarthy's only had KOC in his headset for 2 preseason games and now 5 games total, and only 3 that actually count. So I'm looking to see a lot of good development from him I'm encouraged by him against the Lions. It wasn't perfect. Not every play was awesome, but he was clutch when he had to be. Shoot, down to the last pass he threw to Jalen Nailor. It was an amazing pass. And then Nailor, I mean, it wasn't the easiest catch of the world, but it was what they needed to win the game. J.J. McCarthy stared it down and did what he had to do, and that was what he did all game. Wasn't a perfect game, but he'll get better. So I expect him to be good, and I totally agree with that game ball for him.
Who's your game ball going to?
I kind of talked about him a little bit earlier. Eric Wilson. It seemed like he was the extra little bit of salt the Vikings defense needed. So, I mean, I think that's what Ivan Pace has done for the Vikings defense in the last few years. But for whatever reason this year, Ivan Pace, maybe he just got thrown into the fire with the green dot too much. Maybe he's got a low-key little injury that isn't, prevalent, but just enough to keep him, a little tweak here and there. But Eric Wilson, on top of everybody else being healthy and performing well, Eric Wilson came in and just was playing like his hair was on fire and was the cherry on top. That little bit of extra seasoning the Vikings defense needed, and it worked. Like I said earlier, the defense looked unstoppable at times, and he was a big part of that. So short and sweet, he's my game ball.
I would like to take a minute to talk about the upcoming schedule.
Yes.
Because I mentioned this a little bit ago, and I think this is important because I think, and I've mentioned this in previous seasons,
Yep.
and I tend to do this. We'll kind of get to this point in the season. And
the halfway point.
We're roughly halfway now. But I feel like we're at an interesting crossroads for this Vikings team, and I felt this way last year too, at about a similar point. And my thoughts are this. The next probably 4 or 5 games or so, maybe 6.
Maybe 6, 7.
6, 7. Oh my gosh. I teach high school and I'm sick of hearing that.
Somebody laughed at that. Comment and let
that's
me know
why I
if you laughed
stopped at 5 or 6 and I didn't go any farther than that. The next several games, no specific amount, just several. I think they're going to be really indicative of where this Vikings team will end up at the end of the season. And sure, you could say, well, I'm looking at it too simplistically and saying, well, of course, if they win games, they're going to make the playoffs. And if they lose games, they won't make the playoffs. And sure, if you want to take that more simplistic approach, go for it. But I think it's a little more complex than that. Because there's a few things at play here. You have 2 home games followed by 2 away games. The 2 home games in a row, I think, are huge. It's the only 2 home games they have in a row besides the last 2 games.
Yeah, last 2 were, which I saw that the other day and was like, wow, that's pretty sweet. That could be
helpful.
A difference maker to finish the season with 2 weeks at home. But yeah.
And then you think about the teams that they're playing in this next stretch here, and it matters. And I think some of them are purely confidence boosters, like the Ravens next week, week 10. That's a confidence booster. Lamar Jackson is back.
That would be huge to win.
And he's looking good. And I know that the Ravens don't have a good record, but I still think if you're the Vikings team and the Ravens come into US Bank Stadium and you win, that's not a moral victory. That's not a like, hey, great job. That's like, we just beat Lamar Jackson and the Ravens.
Well, as of right now, or as of a couple hours ago when I looked, on DraftKings, the Vikings are the underdog.
I'm sure
the Ravens are favored by 3.5 points. As of right now, we're just under a week away from the game. But yeah, when the lines opened up, the Ravens are now favored by more than a field goal.
So then you host the Bears in another divisional matchup, and you've already beaten the Bears once, but this time it's at home. And the other thing I like about the next several games is they're all noon games, which means the schedule stays the same, the routine stays the same. There's none of this like Thursday night crap and Sunday night and Monday night where, like, just historically speaking, the Vikings have always struggled. Then on my birthday, interestingly enough, the Vikings go to Green Bay, and I don't like a birthday for me game at Lambeau because it's probably going to be cold up there. But I don't know if the Vikings are worth a darn. they're going to go to Lambeau and they're going to walk out with a win, especially if I don't know if we were recording yet when you said this, but we were talking about the Packers before we started recording.
Oh yeah, it was as we were setting up. Yeah,
just about how, the Packers really haven't proven a whole lot, and they kind of feel like pretenders, especially losing to the Browns and the Panthers in the ways that they've lost to them. So that all leads to a trip to Seattle, which I know historically, again speaking, the Vikings struggle going to the West Coast, don't perform well. And that'll be an interesting game because it'll be against Sam Darnold, who looked absolutely unstoppable last night on Sunday Night Football.
He started, 19 for 19 or 16 for 16?
He looked incredible.
And throw an incomplete pass. He looked awesome.
Solidified MVP talks for sure.
He's in the conversation. He can't not be, especially after last night.
And then you have the Commanders at home with probably Jaden Daniels less.
Yeah, he's
Washington
done.
Team.
Fun fact: check out our TikTok page, the Skol Hop on TikTok, or on Facebook, or Instagram, or even Twitter. We have one of those sick videos I like to make about sports injuries that shows a pretty solid look of Jaden Daniels' elbow popping out of place.
Yeah, it was kind of gruesome. But if you're into that thing,
I'm into it. I know it's weird. I know I'm the weird one about that, but
I'm not. I'm
just saying it's there.
But just think for a moment how much momentum the Vikings would have walking into, I don't even know, is it Lumen Field in Seattle?
Oh, yeah.
How much momentum would they have going to Lumen Field on November 30th with 7 wins?
Yeah, it's not a given, but
definitely not a given. I'm just thinking hypothetically, like there'd be a ton of momentum and maybe enough momentum to have this really back and forth close game against Sam Darnold, who's having a heck of a season. Mm-hmm. To walk out of there with a win and be 8-4 after the next 4 games. To your point a couple years ago, when the Vikings were struggling, had dealt with a bunch of injury to key players like Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson, and you said famously, I'm going to say famously on the show, if the Vikings make the playoffs, look out. I would say the same thing about this Vikings team. They will have overcome
a lot of adversity. And the Vikings, to your point, this season have dealt with a lot of early season adversity. Mm-hmm. Your starting quarterback, whatever you think about him, missed 5 games out of the first 9 games. Your starting center, who you just paid not record-breaking money to, but starter money to, who was supposed to be an upgrade over Garrett Bradbury, Ryan Kelly, has had scary concussions. They're saying, KOC did say today that Ryan Kelly is going to be starting to do some side field stuff. So he's still on IR, and they're still not opening that 21-day window for him to practice, but I guess it's legal for him to
start
he'll
doing
probably
some work.
Be in shorts and a t-shirt, just kind of doing some side work stuff. But that's kind of hopeful. But there's an outside chance he never plays football again. Mm-hmm. They've had injuries for a game or more to their very talented left tackle and very talented right tackle. Their first round pick rookie, so far when he's been on the field, pretty good left guard, Donovan Jackson, missed, was it 3 games?
With his hand
surgery. He already had surgery. There's been some adversity injury-wise. Harrison Smith, we may never figure out, not that we have to, but we may never know exactly what happened when he missed most of training camp and then the first couple of weeks of the season, right? He has taken a while to warm up. Looks like he's coming back. But, yeah, there's been a lot of adversity for this team, and you're right. If they end up making the playoffs, look out. And I know the frustration is that now that the Vikings have had a few years of actually being good, this is suddenly the same few years where the rest of the NFC North is suddenly really good. And that's kind of true, but also what you said earlier, there's more parity in the league this year than there has been in any year. Every team has at least 2 losses. The Packers, they have, going into the games this weekend, they had the best record in the NFC, but all of their games have been within, I think most of them have been within 1 score, maybe one of them 2 scores, but they're not blowing everybody's helmets off every game. Like this league in 2025 is one that you're going to see some teams with 5 or 6 losses win a division, and that bodes well when your team already has 4 losses after 9 games.
Yeah. In terms of health, I think the Vikings are on the up and up and on the healthier end of teams in the league. And I don't know how accurate this tweet is, but it was posted on Halloween. It says the Vikings have 7 players on IR or the PUP list. I'm not aware of any PUP list players right now for the Vikings.
Well,
I think
the thing about the PUP list is some of those could have been on since like July, and we may not remember them.
True.
Let me look that up really quick.
But if that number is accurate, 7 is 1, 2, 3, 4, the 5th lowest in the league.
And it looks like the Packers are at 6, so you got 6, 7 between the two of those. So
cut it out. But like the Lions, for example, if this list is accurate, 19 players IR or PUP list. The Cowboys also have 19. The Dolphins have 23.
Yeah, the Dolphins, my goodness.
The Dolphins are a dumpster
Do you see they
fire.
came out and said McDaniel he's going to be the coach for at least this season?
That. Which is interesting because I feel like more NFL coaches have been fired mid-season as of late, not this season, but in seasons prior.
It's a thing. You lose like 4 games, and all of a sudden you're going to get fired.
But this year, for some reason, college football, Division I
Franklin
FBS
and Kelly,
and then Hugh Freeze from Auburn just got the axe today.
Oh, I didn't see that. Okay.
Yep. And I feel like there's a couple other ones in college football that have been chopped this year. But yeah, it's a tough year to be a head coach in FBS college football.
Yeah.
But yeah, surprisingly, no firings that I'm aware of in the NFL.
Oh no,
so far
the Titans fired their head coach.
Oh, did they? I guess I didn't realize that.
That might be it officially.
You're like,
I'll
research king over here.
Yeah, I'm just
looking it all up.
Yeah, it's probably not worth it to look it up. I know the Titans coach has been fired.
Okay.
Aaron Glenn is still with the Jets, but you get a little leeway in your first year sometimes. Plus, they just won. What I was initially looking up was the Vikings roster to see everybody that's on the PUP list and injury reserve. But yeah, you're right. It's the NFL this season has been a little gracious with their coaches. Usually there's at least a couple of fired coaches by now. And I think the Titans might be the only one to have fired their coach so far.
Google says Gavin Bartholomew and Chaz Chambliss are the only 2 Vikings on the PUP list.
So on the injured reserve, we got Carson Wentz, Matt Nelson, a former Hawkeye offensive lineman he went on the IR in training camp. Rondell Moore, obviously, tore his ACL, MCL.
I was there for that. I watched that happen.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Preseason game.
Yep. Ryan Kelly, which sounds like he might come back this season. That's as far as I'll go. Zeke Carell, a center that I think he was another training camp preseason injured reserve guy. And then Ty Chandler, who that just might be a quiet firing where they're just letting him go. I don't know. I don't even know what his injury was, hamstring or something like that. PUP list is Gavin Bartholomew, which it sounds like, so he's a rookie. He was drafted in the 6th round. Bartholomew, it kind of sounds like he was drafted with knowledge of that. I think it's a back injury or something like that. So they may just have been prepared to, maybe he can play this year. We'll take what we can get in the future. But yeah, not a lot of current injuries right now, which is pretty nice.
Yeah, the point in all of that is just that the Vikings are very healthy at this point. After
getting there, yeah.
And I would say they are there, or super close to being really back to full speed, 100%. But after a really rocky start with a ton of guys on that injury report, things have really quieted down on that front. Guys are getting healthy again. And I think when guys aren't just feeling healthy physically, but you're also winning games,
yeah,
that positivity just no, I'm good. And like whatever little thing you're dealing with that if you're losing is like, no, this sucks and I can't play next week. That goes away when you're winning games and you're just like, nah, I'm going to go run through a brick wall for these guys because I love this team. I love what we're doing and we're going to go win as many games as possible.
Yeah, a sore ankle hurts a lot worse when there's no hope for winning. Like if you're winning every game, you can forget about that sore ankle real quick. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I think
you have some optimism to share too, because I just talked about how I think the next 5 games or so could really be the linchpin for this season and make or break, right? Like they win a handful of those 3 or 4 or all 5 of them, and we're looking at a playoff team for sure.
Yeah, well, I mean,
and we lose a bunch of them. You're done. Your season's over. It's a development year. You chalk it up to let's get JJ McCarthy as much experience as possible.
Yeah. So the way things sit at this moment, even after the Monday Night Football game, which just ended, the Cardinals beat the Cowboys, and this is a little bit of a tangent. Adam Schefter tweeted that both Troy Aikman and Joe Buck, who must have been calling the game. They call the Monday night games. They said that they expect the Cardinals to stick with Jacoby Brissett at quarterback over Kyler Murray. And I know Brissett's playing because Murray has an injury, but like, interesting.
We wouldn't know anything that happened in the Monday night game because
we can't watch TV,
it. We have YouTube TV. So ESPN, you need to get it figured out. Yep. Bring it back.
I don't know who's at fault, but they need to get that figured out.
I think it was ESPN.
At least before the Vikings would play on ABC or ESPN. But yeah, as of right now, if the season were to end right now, the Vikings would finish as the 10th seed in the NFC, which that would be out of the playoffs. Only the top 8 seeds make the playoffs for each conference. But if they were to win all of the next 5 games, what are the next 5 games? We have the Ravens, we have the Bears.
Ravens, Bears, both at home, and then go to Green Bay, go to Seattle, and then you have Commanders at home.
Okay, so the Bears, Seattle, and Green Bay are all ahead of the Vikings as of right now. And yes, the season's only halfway over. It's still early, and it's really premature to start talking about seeding and playoffs. But it's still a conversation. We're a Vikings podcast. We got to do it. But those 3 teams are all ahead of the Vikings right now, and they're only the Bears are ahead by 1 game. The Packers are ahead by 1 game, 1.5 games because of that tie. The Seahawks are ahead by 2 games. So if the Vikings were to win all 3 of those, you cut those leads, plus then there's the rest of a season. The Vikings are very much in the driver's seat. They still hold their own destiny, so if they win out, they're absolutely going to be in the hunt to make the playoffs, depending on if everybody else wins out, which isn't possible because the Vikings play some of them. But yeah, the Vikings hold their own destiny still right now. So not a bad spot to be. After 2 weeks ago, we thought fire everybody, trade everybody, let's look to the future pretty much.
Well, and I think that's just the roller coaster of the NFL season, right? Like you have a loss like the Vikings sustained against the Chargers, and you can just tell like the energy in that room was gone.
Yeah.
And KOC was pissed, and it happened on a short week, and the guys were tired, and there were a lot of injuries, and Carson Wentz literally was so banged up that he's not going to play another snap of football this season. Mm-hmm. Like it was doom and gloom.
Can we give Carson Wentz a couple of minutes here?
Yeah. We can do whatever we want. It's our show.
I probably said some things. I definitely tweeted
a public
and
apology.
Absolutely texted to you some things about how Carson Wentz shouldn't be the starter. They need to pull him. They need to put Brosmer in. I just want to say, after all is said and done, I can't take back what I've said in the past, and I don't want to. But I will say, I respect the crap out of Carson Wentz because he did talk to the media. I think he's talked. We've recorded an episode since then too, but he made it sound like the way he was talking in his press conference, it was mostly his choice. He kept saying, "Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. I can keep going." And I've seen it tweeted out there that this is probably the sentiment that he knows this was probably and he kind of said as much too. You don't get too many chances to be QB1 in the league. And he was QB1 for 5 weeks. Yeah, with the real QB1 hurt.
Yep.
But he was preparing each week. He knew he was the starter. He knew he was going to take the reps. He was starting every game, for that period of time. And he said, you don't get that very often. And so I think on some level, even though he was kind of torturing himself a little bit in that Chargers game, he was soaking it up. I mean, which one of us wouldn't take the opportunity? The Vikings would lose by 100 trillion points if they started me at quarterback. But you know what? If they called and said, hey, Austin, we need you to start at quarterback, it'll never happen. But if they did, I'd be like, heck yes. I don't care if I get sacked 1,000 times or break both my legs and never walk again. I get to start for the Vikings, start in the NFL. That'd be insane. So I think that's where he was. He wasn't going to let it go until he couldn't walk anymore. And I got a lot of respect for him for holding on to that dream, holding on to that. Could be the last time he starts a game in the NFL. You never know. And he took one for the team, because if he would have come out, Brosmer would have been annihilated.
Yeah, and I think to add to that, I think he deserves a lot of credit, not only for the physical pain that he endured and continued to go out there for 2 games after sustaining that injury to his left shoulder. But I also think you've got to give him credit for he never had this diva mentality.
Oh yeah.
There was never this I was on that Super Bowl winning Eagles team, and had I not been hurt, I would have won that, not Nick Foles. And there wasn't there, and there's never been this aura with Carson Wentz, right? I feel like I haven't paid much attention to him other than when he was a Viking.
I think he's a good dude.
But I think he's a good dude, and I think he's got a great mindset. I'm sure he is a great guy to have in that room with J.J. McCarthy, with Max Brosmer. I still wonder what we would have seen from Max Brosmer, not to take away from Carson Wentz. I think there's just that element of the unknown, and I know there's all these trolls on Twitter they're not going to put him in because he's going to play better than JJ, and then they would really have this conundrum on their hand. Here's what I think. At the end of the day, we're going to look back on the 2 games that he won and the 3 games that he lost in a Vikings uniform, and we're going to go, you know what? Those 2 wins were really valuable. They pushed us over the edge. They got us to where we needed to be at the end of the season. Who knows what the end of the season is going to look like? We don't. We're hopeful that these next 5 games go really, really well for the Vikings to position them to be in a spot to go to the playoffs. Again, I think if the Vikings are a playoff team, especially if the Vikings are a playoff team, we as fans, and I hope his teammates and I hope his coaches look back and say, you know what? Those 2 wins were crucial.
Oh, yeah. They have to. Every win is crucial.
We absolutely needed those. And, the Bengals game, that was his first game, and he didn't play, lights out.
He didn't have to, yeah.
But he played well.
He wasn't the reason they lost. He didn't throw crazy interceptions.
And, that was kind of the Isaiah Rodgers game. We'll always remember that for sure. But, man, like you said, you didn't do anything to lose the game, and he did what we've been hoping out of J.J. McCarthy in that game all day long. Just manage the game. Just, don't throw an interception. Don't take these big, ugly sacks. Throw it out of bounds if you need to, and find Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, whoever you can. Addison wasn't in that game, but you know what I'm saying, right? Just manage the game. Manage the game. And he did that well to the tune of a big 38-something victory over the Bengals.
38-10.
38-10.
I just looked it up, and if you're feeling bad for Carson Wentz...
48-10, not 38.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. If you're feeling bad for Carson Wentz, that his career never really got to what it should be. One, he's at least a 1-time Super Bowl champ. I know he was on the Chiefs at one point.
But he was on the Eagles too, right?
He was drafted by the Eagles, and they won the Super Bowl in his second or third year. He was also on the Chiefs last year, and they went but didn't win.
Lost.
But anyways, if I'm not exactly sure how accurate Spot Rack is. I think they're pretty accurate. Spotrack.com, the website. But if you look him up, his career earnings are $134,176,840. Wow. So if you're ever feeling bad for Carson Wentz, don't. He's fine.
He's good.
He's okay. And he seems like a good dude. The huge chunk of that is, I guess I forgot about this. In 2019, the Eagles extended him with a 4-year, $128 million contract. So I forgot about that. I thought once he got hurt, it was pretty much like, no, that's about it. But I guess I don't remember from too far ago. But yeah, I will look back at Carson Wentz and his Vikings time with a little bit of bittersweetness. I was always, he was a Vikings fan growing up. He's probably always going to have a little bit of that to him. I feel like even if the Packers signed me at any point in my life, I would have never fully let go of my Vikings fanhood. You know what I mean? And he's a tens of, if not hundreds of millionaire with a Super Bowl ring and a family, and he's going to be just fine. But I do appreciate what he did and that he held the ship for as long as he had to and got a couple of wins for the Vikings this year. Not as we completely derail what we were talking about. The Vikings 10th seed could easily in the next 5 weeks from now will look so different. They could be the 4th seed. They could be the 1 seed. They could be the 12th seed.
They could be out of it, theoretically.
Exactly.
Well, let's talk specifically about Week 10 playing the Ravens at home. Baltimore's 3-5, but Lamar Jackson just came back. He's looked good. And they have one of the better running backs in the league in Derrick Henry.
Oh my gosh, yeah, one of the better running backs ever in the history of the league. Yes. Yeah.
Right now, the Ravens are favored, even though they're on the road against the Vikings, 3.5 points. The over-under is 48.5 points. Keys to victory. What do you think the Vikings need to do to win this game?
I think if we see the same defense from the Vikings against the Ravens that we did against the Lions, should be at least a competitive game. And then on top of that, if J.J. McCarthy gives us at least what he gave us against the Lions, should be a competitive game. I saw a really good TikTok breaking down the Vikings defense and how they specifically exploited a couple of things about the Lions offense to hold the victory in that game. And one thing was that every time they saw Jahmyr Gibbs in a potential pass blocking role, they just blitzed. They probably checked into it because they noticed and proved Jahmyr Gibbs, as elite as he is of a runner, he's just not there as a pass blocker. So, I mean, there was at least one specific time that I think it was Eric Wilson blitzed, blew up Jahmyr Gibbs, and then all he did was run and just pummel Jared Goff for one of his 2 sacks. So if the Vikings defense gives us any hint of that against the Ravens, then hopefully it'll be a competitive game.
It's interesting because I was watching a video right before you got here tonight, and it was of the Panthers Packers game, and we laugh about the Packers losing to the Panthers, of course, which anytime the Packers lose it's a wonderful day for us as Vikings fans. But there was one play that was on Twitter, and somebody was analyzing it, and they thought that Bryce Young put Rico Dowdle into a fake pass blocking situation, but then handed it off to him anyways, and caught the Packers defense completely off guard, and he gashed him for a huge gain down the field.
That's dirty.
And it was tricky, and I kind of I watched it a couple times, and I'm like, okay, I can kind of see that. It's really subtle, and the guys on the field know infinitely more than we do because they're the ones playing the game. We just watch videos of it and
they
speculate.
Know the scheme. They know what
and they know the scheme,
for.
and they've studied all week, to go out and beat these guys. But anyways, it just made me think of that. And I think Brian Flores is so stinking smart when it comes to stuff like that, like even little things like that when an offense tries to throw them for a loop. Usually in my experience watching games, it might happen once, but it's not going to happen again. You fool me once, okay, but fool me twice, not even going to happen.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to figure it out and we'll make the adjustments. And if you check into something like that at the line of scrimmage, your quarterback makes that audible.
Yeah.
we're gonna figure it out within a couple of tries, Well,
the thing about the Flores defense, if you really look, there's two ways that Flores's defense gets beat. The second least common way, but it definitely happens, is for whatever reason, there's an open receiver, tight end, running back, wide open in the middle of the field.
Yes.
So if you ever see the Vikings defense, pay attention because you'll see it. If the Vikings defense gets torched for 20-plus yards, it's probably because there was a blitz that didn't get home and then somebody just wide open in the middle of the field with at least 5-yard bubble around them where nobody's around them. That's the least common way, but it happens. The most common way that the Flores defense gets beat, a terrible big play for the offense against the Flores defense, is if the guy just doesn't make the tackle. Usually, and we saw it a handful of freaking times against the Lions, Jared Goff would be dead to rights. A Viking holding him like a bear, and then whoop, just misses the tackle. Jared Goff gets out. There was the one play where Jared Goff totally escaped. I think it was Jonathan Grenard. Had him dead to rights. Yeah. Would have been a sack for like minus 5, 6, 7 yards.
He wiggled his way out.
He wiggled out, threw it to the side to, I think it was Amon-Ra St. Brown. I might be wrong about the receiver. But then Isaiah Rodgers just did the same exact thing to that receiver. He would have had the receiver dead to rights for a minus 3-yard loss, but then all of a sudden, nope, he didn't even, no, it was Byron Murphy. He just slipped around him and then, a 15-yard pass play. So those are the two ways. And if the Vikings could break down and fundamentally fix their tackling issues, the Flores defense would be basically unstoppable.
So this just brings me back to that video that I referenced earlier, posted by Ben Lieber, because there's one other aspect of that, and I don't know, I'm just maybe flexing this knowledge that I gained from Ben Lieber now.
Ben, come on the show.
But it's just, it's fun to talk about, and it's our podcast, and we can do whatever the heck we want.
Yeah.
So he mentioned in that particular play how all this movement was happening on the line, and like Ivan Pace kind of moved around and a couple other guys moved around. Well, Metellus and Harrison Smith were back in a too-high safety look. Mm-hmm. And he mentioned in his commentary in the tweet that Metellus floated over between the hashes to take away the hot throw. And I saw that too in the play, because like Jared Goff's eyes immediately went to a quick crossing route over the middle to try and get rid of it quickly, which is where you can gash a defense like Brian Flores's. And it wasn't there because Metellus came down. And I think for this Vikings team, having all of the pieces back matters so much.
Yeah.
Sure, can they improve on their tackling? Yes. Can they improve on their middle of the field coverage? Yes, because I think the sidelines and those deep balls, the Vikings have that locked down, and you're not gonna get those big, huge, like explosive touchdown plays on this Vikings defense. Maybe once in a blue moon. But you're going to give up a lot of those 15, 20, 25-yard over the middle passes that are just going to keep moving the chains and moving you down the field. But I come back to that point. When you've got Van Ginkel and Cashman and Ivan Pace and Jalen Redmond, and you've got all these guys up front that can generate the pressure, and then you've got great guys that are back in coverage too, like Smith and Isaiah Rodgers and Metellus.
Byron Murphy,
who's been kind of quiet this season.
I still maintain he's been quiet because he's been so good. You don't hear about him because they're not throwing his way, and when they do, it just doesn't work. So they don't throw his way. I thought about that against the Lions game. Like, man, I forgot Byron Murphy was even on the team for a minute. No, it's because teams aren't testing him because it's not going to work.
And so I think if you can get the Vikings in those man coverage or even some zone situations where it's just the safeties in the corners covering those guys, even if you don't get home, it's going to be a struggle to move the ball down the field.
Was that still my key to victory?
Yeah, that was yours. The defense.
Yeah.
That was long-winded.
So let's start to come downhill on the episode here. We're at like an hour and a half. Evan, what's your key to victory?
I'll keep it short. They got to balance the run and the pass game to help JJ manage the game. We talked about it already. The 70 whatever yards from Aaron Jones and then a couple other a handful of yards from Jordan Mason and some other guys helped that. JJ getting some yards on his legs helped that. It's just going to help JJ McCarthy. And I think that's going to be necessary against this Ravens team that likes to run the ball a lot with both their quarterback and their running back. They're going to eat up a lot of time on their side of the ball. Like, I think time of possession will be important in this game because you got to get your defense as the Vikings off the field and give them a chance to rest. And so you've got to eat up time consequently on the offensive side of the ball. So that's my key to the game. Balance the run and the pass. I'd love to see somebody rush for 100 yards. Hasn't happened.
It would have had Aaron Jones not gotten injured.
Correct. But I'd love to see that in this game.
All right. Predictions. We're to this point. Let's talk about purple punishments. Both of us in the preseason said that the Vikings would beat the Ravens. I'm not sure why. We probably talked about that on the episode that we did our preseason predictions. I forget what episode number that was, but if the Vikings win, neither of us are spinning. If they lose, we're both going to spin and probably have to eat something spicy or something. I don't know. Evan, what is your score prediction for this game?
I think it's 25-24 Vikings win. I think it's really close, and I think it comes down to time of possession, like I just said. I think the Vikings will get the ball last, and at 25 is kind of an obscure score, but I think it comes down to a Will Reichard field goal at the end.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm trying to think how that would work, but hey, these are all just guesses, really. Even the experts are wrong. Every expert predicted the Lions to beat the Vikings this past weekend.
Maybe there's a safety involved.
Yeah,
from
maybe
the defense.
I feel like there'd have to be. All right, so mine is kind of tied to my key to victory. My key is that the defense shows us what they showed against the Lions, but specifically that they contain Jackson and Henry. And I don't think you can really do that. I think the things that I talked about when the defense gets, when the Flores defense gets beat, it's poor tackling and then middle of the field. I think if Lamar Jackson did what a quarterback is supposed to do on every single play, what you would predict someone to do, kind of like a chess match. Like, I know if I do this, he'll do that. If it was a textbook thing, the Vikings would win every time. But Lamar Jackson, what makes him so good and so elite is you can't predict what he's going to do. He could throw an 89-yard pass for a touchdown or get sacked for a 5-yard loss or rush out of nowhere and miss 8 tackles for an 89-yard touchdown. Like, you just never know what he's going to do. And you could have everybody covered, including Lamar Jackson. And he could still slip away and somehow miss a tackle, and boom, he's gone. Or miss a tackle, and then boom, he's got 5 more seconds to look for an open receiver who slips away, and then he's open. I just think my issues with KOC's game management is going to be overpowered by, is it John Harbaugh?
John Harbaugh, yeah.
There's a reason he's almost 2 decades as a head coach. He's a Super Bowl winning coach. He has very few flaws, and he's proved it, and good for the Ravens. And the defense and just the unpredictableness of Lamar Jackson. And then on top of that, you get Derrick Henry, who, when the Ravens have lost games this year, it's been because either Lamar Jackson's been hurt and out of the game, or Derrick Henry has had an untimed, poorly planned, you can't plan, fumble. And that's been it, and you can't plan for those things. So I think the Vikings are going to lose this one, unfortunately, 24-31 to the Ravens.
Well, I hope you're wrong.
I hope I'm wrong too.
Both for the sake of the Vikings salvaging this season and like at the midway point, kind of just getting it figured out and continuing this this trend of winning, but also for the sake of the wheel of purple punishments, because I don't want to spin any.
There's some rough ones on there this year.
I want to avoid that.
But a theme for us for the last handful of months has been the most Vikings things ever. It would be the most Vikings thing ever to beat the Lions when we all thought all was lost, and then just another
lose to the 3-5
games
Ravens at
exactly.
home. Right. All right. Well, where can people find us?
First off, more. We're almost done with this beer, which tells me
great.
This Sova from Big Grove, freaking delicious. I've fought the urge to drink the last couple of sips that I have because we need something for the intro, right?
That's true.
I liked it a lot. I will drink it some more. That's all I gotta say.
Solid beer. Definitely one that I'm gonna have to find at the store because I like this one a lot.
Yeah, not hard to find. If you want to reach out to us, keep the conversation going. We are on all of the social medias. If you just search the Skol Hop, you will find us: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, everywhere. And go ahead and give us a follow or a subscribe. Definitely check us out on YouTube if you're not watching, Spotify, everywhere else. So did I miss anything?
No, I don't think so. I think if I could sit here and talk about the Vikings and drink beer all day long, it'd be amazing.
Yeah, we almost did.
Sorry for the long episode.
No, it's good.
I felt like this was an awesome episode.
Yeah, maybe best episode yet.
Cool. Could be. Skol.